Well, welcome back to the Newsman Weekly podcast. Joining us now, as promised, we have a 2010 Lexington High School graduate who's now literally moving heaven and earth in his role with Hewlett-Packard in Barcelona, Spain. Please welcome to the show my youngest son, Zachary Hunnell.
Yes.
That's you know what. You're off to a rocking start. We're thrilled to have our favorite supply chain master home from Spain. I wrote this, and now I'm going to try to pronounce it. Zach, you tell me if I'm close. Gracias por acompañarnos. Was that close?
Thank you for accompanying us.
Yeah, we're close to it. Yeah, thank you for joining us. So, yeah.
I didn't know it was take your son to work day.
Hey. You know what? All you other guys bring your sons to work, your daughters to work, and they're running around all over the place. So I thought, you know what?
Yeah, I love it.
It's a treat.
Zach can run around.
We got like squishies out there on the desks.
Yeah, fidget toys.
Snack bar. You can have one.
Okay. Hey, your kids don't follow that rule, Heiser.
They sure don't. I tell them every time, and they just rate it. They just continue. They're just
That's what
savages.
it's there for.
Now, Zach is home for his first visit in 2 years from Spain.
Wow,
flew in on Friday night. His brother, thankfully, was able to get him at the airport, and they've been with us all weekend. Zach's going to be here for a few more days. And so welcome back to the good old U.S. of A., Zach Hunnell.
It's good to be here. Thanks for the opportunity. And I just told myself I promise not to actively defend your ability to do this show.
Thank you very much. No, I got
nice callback.
That's nice. But I got to tell you, one of the reasons I wanted Zach on the show, in addition to the fact it's nepotism and I get half his check for doing this, is the absolute critique, savage critique, he often gives me when he listens to this show, which, by the way, you can hear in Europe. So there's no reason, Spaniards, Germans, English, that you're not listening to this show. But Zach,
a lot of reason to.
Zach, early on, I said, so what do you think of the show? And his phrase was, it's the Snooze Man Weekly.
I love it.
So, Zach, where did you get the idea that we're a show you should sleep through?
Well, so whenever it comes out, it's in the middle of my work day, and I don't have time to listen to it because I'm 6 hours ahead. And so by the time I actually get a chance to listen to it, it's when I'm getting ready for bed. And there's something soothing about the three voices of you gentlemen that just puts me right to sleep. So I put it on, midnight, 12:30. I'm asleep by 12:45, and I have no idea what happened. I hear the intro, and then adios.
That's the best part.
Well, usually when the show is over, we have no idea what just happened. So you're not missing much.
That's great.
Folks,
thanks for the listen, though.
Yeah. That's one. So
I'm a listen, like, and download guy. I'm
our top international.
Yeah. Rate it, like it, unrated, re-like it. Folks, our guest today is may not look like it, but he's a high-flying tech executive, an expert in global logistics, and most importantly, the guy who used to forget to take out my trash on Thursdays. Zach, you went from studying logistics at Bowling Green State University to helping manage global operations for Hewlett-Packard in Barcelona. So how does a kid from Richland County go from navigating Route 30 to helping run supply chains in Catalonia?
Yeah, I guess a little bit of luck, a little bit of chance. I studied at Bowling Green, graduated in 2014. My first stint out of college was working for a government contractor down in Washington, D.C. Anything associated to the government, in my opinion, is a little bit boring. So I was looking to shake things up.
Plus, you were living in, quite honestly, the richest county.
Yeah, Fairfax County.
Yeah, Fairfax County, Virginia, the richest county in the country.
And I was having to wear a shirt and tie every day, and I'm like, all right, well, this isn't really my style. And so I was looking for some other opportunities, and then Hewlett-Packard out in Fort Collins, Colorado. I wanted to move out there. I'd done some snowboarding and some ski trips out there. So they took a chance, and it was a tech company, something I was interested in, a location I was interested in. So I moved out there in 2015, had a great run in Colorado until 2022. So I'd worked there for 7 years, and they said, hey, would you be interested in doing something a little bit different? And I said, well, how different? And they said, well, Barcelona different. And I said, okay, let's make it happen. But it's been a fun journey, learned a lot, met a lot of cool people, seen a lot of cool countries. So all in all, fortunate and grateful for the opportunities.
And how was your Spanish at the time? Did you know any Spanish?
I knew zero Spanish.
Wow. Did you take any Spanish at old Lexburg?
No, he took nothing but French.
Yeah,
I tried to tell him at the time, the world speaks Spanish. Why are you taking French?
Yeah, so I took 3 years of French. I had never been to Spain. I didn't know anybody there. All I knew is I had a job there. So I just kind of a leap of faith with my 2 Chihuahuas. We landed in Spain. We got off the plane, and I said, all right, this is where we live. And then the first interaction at a store, someone said, "Hola, ¿qué tal?" And I said, "What? What do you need from me? My card, cash? What are we doing?" And they're just like, "No, I asked how you were doing." And so it's been a long journey, but the Spanish is not fluent, but certainly much better now than what it was when I landed. So.
Yeah, when Zach and I did help him move. I was responsible for one of the dogs, and I think 5 of his 11 suitcases that we had at the time. And the only thing I learned is how to go to the bar and say "una más cerveza," and that's how
It's a crucial line.
it is. And it's something about el baño, the bathroom, and need to know where
¿Dónde
where
está
that
el
is.
baño, por favor?
Yeah, very much.
Yeah.
Now,
Important.
when I tell people around Mansfield that you work in supply chain management, half of them think you install chains at Goodyear. So what is the quick, simple elevator pitch that you would give to your hometown buddies so they actually understand what it is the hell you do?
Yeah, so I think if I could break down supply chain into kind of 4 key factors, there's planning, there's sourcing, there's making, and then there's delivering. So my focus at HP has really been within the deliver function. So once the products are made, how are we getting them delivered to customers around the world or some of our replenishment distribution centers or warehouses? But within supply chain, you obviously have to have a plan. So we have a planning organization. That's not something I've really been exposed to. The make is more about the product manufacturing, the raw materials, bringing it into your ODMs or contract manufacturers. And then sourcing. So sourcing is, really procuring components, procuring materials, whatever you need to manufacture those products. And so I let everyone build everything that they need to, build the laptops, build the printers, and I just come in at the end, save the day, and make sure it gets delivered to where it needs to go. So
You sound like my dad. He's a really hard worker, and he sounds great at what he does, but I know there's a lot of spreadsheets, and I genuinely don't know almost 30 years into life what he does. So
yeah, some days I don't know what I do, but like more specifically within the deliver function, and I'm not going to go into details about
Please
this.
don't.
But I do a lot of data science and data engineering in support of our logistics visibility control tower. So it sounds really cool,
You're a
but
scientist.
I promise it's not as cool as it sounds, but
Well,
it pays the bills.
I will tell you, when we moved Zach to Spain, I stayed there for a week, and he would be working from his apartment that we were staying in, and I would go in the other room with the dogs and try to keep everybody calm while he's on this computer call. And I have no idea, but the conversations would become animated, and I would hear Zach say things like his dad used to say when his dad was running a newsroom. As he was explaining, I think there are people in the Philippines, Zach was explaining why something wasn't working the way it was supposed to, and I said, you know what? That's my kid right there.
he's going to make it, all right?
All right. Now, HP obviously has a major presence in Spain and around the world, but what's the corporate culture like working for a major American tech firm inside a European country?
So I would say it's pretty similar to the offices that I was working at in the U.S. So I'd visit our Houston office. I had been obviously at our Fort Collins office, but at the Colorado office, it was much more maybe laid back is the term. So you could go to work wearing T-shirt and shorts and flip-flops. Like, tell a software developer or a coder like you have to like wear a shirt and tie. It's not going to happen. So you could basically wear whatever you want. You go to the office when you want. You work from home when you want. And then coming into Europe, I would say it's a little bit more maybe important to go to the office because I think it's more common that people like to go to the office. They dress a little bit more formal. They like to, have their coffee together, and like it's kind of this morning ritual. And it happened a little bit in the Fort Collins office, but I think in Europe they put more of an emphasis on that, being together, talking with each other. And like I said, just kind of being a bit more formal. So now instead of wearing like shorts and a T-shirt, I don't wear a tie, but, a little bit collared shirt, maybe some pants. So I try to step up, no sandals. But in general, I think working for a tech company is honestly pretty popular in Barcelona. I would say it's kind of the Silicon Valley within Europe. There's a lot of tech over there. There's a lot of startups, and typically within that industry, the salaries pay pretty well compared to other industries within Europe. So
that makes sense that people dress up a little more for work, because it's just like the culture in general. Like if you're just going out to the grocery store, like you're gonna kind of put yourself together a little more. You don't see like the people wearing sweatpants to Walmart.
Pajamas?
Pajama pants to Walmart. I've been guilty of it, but
we've all been there.
Well, and I feel guilty when I wear like kind of like gym clothes, like basketball shorts and like a t-shirt. I'm like, man, I'm like underdressed going to the supermarket.
Just going out to do your daily stuff.
Yeah. No, it's important. So.
Now, this morning, when you came to the studio, it was the first time you've driven a car in a couple of years since the last time you were home. How far away is your office from where you live? And explain to people why nobody in Barcelona really needs a car.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so if I had a car and with traffic and everything, I live about an hour from the office. But because I don't have a car, I rely on public transportation. So I take 2 different trains and a bus, and that takes me about an hour and a half to get out there, which isn't bad. I mean, I'm just on the metro. I can do my Duolingo, listen to podcasts, listen to music. I'm just relaxing. I'm not like stuck in traffic anywhere because the trains are underground and we're just going stop to stop to stop. And when I first moved out there, I had a relocation consultant helping me kind of get set up, look for places to live, and it was basically the question was, do you want to live closer to the office or do you want to live closer to the beach? And I was like, well, I only go to the office a few days a week. So I was like, maybe we live closer to the beach. So it was a deliberate choice to do that. So I'm a 5-minute walk from the beach. I can just walk outside and I'm there, which is very nice for me. But on the flip side, I am a little bit further from the office, but I have the metro station, just a 5-minute walk also from where I live. So it's very easy to hop on the metro and then just let Jesus take the wheel and end up in San Cugat where the office is in about 90 minutes. So.
That would be Jesus or Jesus, right? Barcelona, famous for late night culture, tapas, and beach lifestyle. What was the biggest culture shock when you first moved, and what was the hardest habit you had to break from being at home? When I say home, I mean Fort Collins, not home here, because you haven't lived here in a long time.
Yeah. I would say maybe the biggest culture shock is just no one is really in a hurry to do anything. And in the U.S.
It sounds like Hayden at work every day.
Yeah. In the U.S., everyone's always thinking about the next thing that they're going to do, and they need to hurry up and get done with this so they can go do the next thing, and then they're going to go do the next thing. And that just doesn't really happen in Spain. And I often tell people, like, one of the biggest learnings I've had is nothing happens fast and nothing happens on time. So if you're in a hurry or you're expecting something to happen right when it's supposed to, this isn't really the place probably where you would want to live. So that was the biggest thing, I think, to adapt to. And like going out for lunch with colleagues or whatever. We'll go out for lunch at 12:30, and before you know it, 4 o'clock rolls around, and it's just like, all right, well,
6 beers deep.
Yeah, well, you got to have, your first course and some wine, and then your second course, and then your dessert with coffee. And there's this phrase that they use there called sobremesa, and that's the time after the meal when everyone's just sitting there and relaxing and talking. And that's honestly probably more important than the meal itself, because you're with the people that you want to be with. You shared a great meal together, and take your time. Like, no waiters coming over to you and say, okay, here's your bill,
Right.
Pay when you're ready. It's like, no, we will tell you when we're ready to pay, and just let us sit there for 3.5 or 4 hours, however long it is. So I think that's really nice. And there was one time my friend had a birthday party, and he goes, all right, so we're going to have dinner around 9. We're going to go out, have some drinks after. I said, cool, sounds good. I showed up at 10, and I was still the first one there. And I was like, Paulo, you told me it started at 9. He goes, yeah, but you're still like, yeah. And I was like, I even tried to show up later. Like, I honestly tried. And I was still the first one. So it's just, if something starts at 9, it's probably going to start at 11 or 10:30. So you just, it's normal. So don't be in a hurry, don't be in a rush, and don't expect things to happen on time. But other than that, it's very relaxed. It's perfect.
This does sound like my speed, Carl.
It does, it certainly does. Now, something that I and your mother will never get used to is your dinner time in Spain doesn't usually start until 9 or 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
We'll be like eating dinner at home, and we'll be talking to you on the phone. So it's like 10, 11 o'clock your time, and you're talking about what you're going to have for dinner, which is usually involving a kebab of some kind. But kebab. How long did it take a Midwest stomach to adapt to eating dinner while everybody back home is going to bed?
I mean, honestly, it really wasn't that hard, because what's different about Spain and also the U.S. is like when people get off work, they go out and do things. You're going to go play sports. You're going to go to the beach. You're going to go maybe grab a couple drinks with friends. And so like I feel like when I was in the U.S., when you were done with work, you just go home, you eat, you go to sleep, like, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But in Spain, it's like, no, you're done with work, so let's go out and live a little bit. Let's go, I play paddle with a lot of friends. I play music in a band. Sometimes I go run by the beach. It just depends. But it's like when work is done, that's when you get to start living a little bit. And then only once the sun, starts to come down and it gets dark, then you can think about, okay, well, what's the plan for dinner? What am I going to eat? But adjusting to that, it was actually pretty easy because after work and not directly just eating and sleeping, but getting out to go out and enjoy yourself, it's like, yeah, I like this lifestyle a lot.
Now, one of the things I've seen in terms of the lifestyle is people in Barcelona, at least in the Catalonian part of Barcelona, love a good fireworks. They'll look for any reason whatsoever to blow shit up. So talk about, I think you just had one a couple of weeks ago. It was
Show me videos.
It was Saint something or other, and it's like guys were like literally shooting fireworks at each other in the street. What is that like, and what's that about?
Awesome. So I think there are some things. I mean, there's pros and cons to everywhere you live, and I think there's things that countries can share back and forth and learn from. But I think it would do the American culture a lot of good to go out in the streets, light some shit on fire, and dance around togetger.
Right, for good reasons. Right, for happy reasons.
No,
We do that sometimes. It's usually just like when a cop kills somebody. So.
Wow. That's really dark, but we'll oversee that.
Or our football team wins something
Exactly.
and we light stuff on fire.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I had a friend
Tomato.
I had a friend that mentioned that. They're like, it does happen in the U.S. It's just when a sports team wins or loses, and there's like a riot. But yeah, I think just in general, fireworks are very popular in Spain. And just a couple weeks ago, there was a neighborhood festival, and they have what's called a Correfoc. And a Correfoc is it's called a fire run, but people dress up in different costumes, dragons, there's drummers, there's other kind of mythical beasts, I guess, and they're just loaded up with firecrackers and sparklers and dancing around and shooting basically fireworks at anybody who's, in the streets and dancing. But there are police walking around, there are firefighters, so if it gets out of hand, it'll get quickly squashed. But there's something about, being out at 11 o'clock at night, beer in hand, just getting showered by fireworks and sparklers. And one of my favorite days of the year is actually our Sant Joan festival. And it happens on the summer solstice every year. So it's the longest day of summer. And so we go and celebrate that. And then the next day, everyone gets that day off work. But people flock to the beach. They party there all night, lighting off fireworks. There's like a special sweet bread that you eat that night to kind of honor the holiday. But it's the longest day of summer. You go until the sun comes up the next morning. And then the aftermath, you're like, wow, what just happened here? And then everyone kind of walks home at 6:30 or 7 in the morning.
Nice.
But it's a highlight of the year. And it's, in my opinion, it's kind of like the Spanish, I don't want to say 4th of July, but it's the day when all the big fireworks come out and people really, let them have it.
I always enjoy seeing the videos that you share. It's always a highlight of the day.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of celebrating sports teams, you were in Spain this summer when the Spain won the World Cup. I see you wearing an FC Barcelona shirt today.
We'll have to blur that Spotify logo out.
Why? We should on Spotify.
We're on Spotify. Yeah. But what was it like to be in Spain when they finally win the World Cup title this year?
So there are a couple memorable sporting moments in my life while living in Barcelona. The first was 2024 when Spain won the Euro Cup, which it's basically like the World Cup. It's just with countries in Europe. And we gathered in the square in Plaza Catalunya, which is like the main square in Barcelona. And Tons of people. We were packed in this plaza like sardines, and I was like, man, I'm like almost having difficulty breathing at times because like I'm just so compressed in here. But seeing them win, and then the reaction from the crowd, people lighting flares and fireworks and dancing and music and drinking, and it was like, wow, this is awesome. This was really cool. Well, then fast forward 2 years to the World Cup, and it was next level. So I thought the Euro Cup was cool, but then to win the World Cup and the watch parties that were there, and everyone out in the streets, the cars driving by and honking, again, people dancing, yelling, screaming, stuff getting lit on fire, shot up into the sky.
How long did the parties last? Like days?
Well, so that night,
have people gone back to work yet at all?
That's a good question. I know I had to, unfortunately, but I was out until roughly 3 or 3:30 in the morning after they won, and that's when I feel like it was just getting started. But I was like, man, if I stay out here any longer, like I'm not going to be able to make it to work. So I called it quits. But I think just even a few days after, there were still some leftover fireworks, and people were just lighting off their stash just to do it. But I mean, I think we're still riding a high about winning the World Cup. Everyone's pretty stoked about that, and we're looking forward to do it again, I guess in 2030.
You got 6 guys, I think, from Spain's World Cup team who play for FC Barcelona, including Lamine Yamal.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you can, I think it's the biggest, is that still the stadium in Barcelona, still the biggest soccer stadium, I think, in Europe? Like 70?
It's the biggest. It's the biggest sporting stadium in Europe. Yeah.
Have you been to it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to an FC Barcelona game back in 2022 or 2023. It was cool. It was fun. Now I'm more motivated to go back, knowing that half of Spain's national team plays for Barcelona.
Right.
My biggest downfall, and maybe it's not a downfall for others, but they don't sell beer in the stadium.
What?
Yeah, so like if you want to like have a beer and watch the game, that's not possible. But
that seems
you can do it before and after, but like that
Counterintuitive.
90-minute period where it's like, yeah, I wouldn't mind a beer right now.
Well,
It's a no-go.
I mean, European soccer culture is different. I mean, England, they probably sell beer, and you see what happens at English soccer games. There are fights aplenty. But
Eastern Europe.
Yeah, when Zach and when I helped you move, I remember we were walking down the street, and the difference, and Zach can speak more to this, but there was this little closed-in area in a fence, and it was a dirt field, maybe about a third the size of a normal soccer field. And there were kids, probably a dozen of them, playing in the dirt, running up and down, playing soccer. And I said to myself, I don't remember the last time I saw any American kids on a place that looks like it really should be condemned, and they're out there playing soccer. Soccer's a different culture in Europe and in Spain than it is here.
Well, and there's different plazas throughout the cities, different parks, but like none of these are like grass parks. These are like concrete, it's dirt, it's whatever. And these kids are out there playing soccer, but like that ball is moving so much faster, it's bouncing all over the place. And so then you put them on grass, and it's like, it slows the game down for them. And I think that's why they really, I don't know, in my opinion, that's why they really excel. They're used to playing when the ball is moving super fast, bouncing off everything, and then you put them on an actual pitch, and it's like, okay, yeah, I've trained for this. This is easy. So
maybe we should turn West Park into a soccer complex.
Oh, that would be nice. Yeah. Well, and just leave the parking lot the way it is.
Fine.
It'd just be fun.
We will bring the U.S. team back to glory.
Yeah. Now, obviously, you've had folks from back home visit. Your mother's actually been to visit. Heiser stopped in for a visit.
Yes.
Talk about that, Zach Heiser. And Zach, what is one touristy thing you tell people that they have to do in Barcelona before they leave?
I mean, I think anybody that lives in Barcelona or has even visited Barcelona, I mean, I think that the top of the list for everyone is Sagrada Familia, especially now since it just... Well, they said it got finished in 2026, but I think it'll be something that they're going to continually work on. But the main architect behind it, Antoni Gaudí, he passed away in 1926, and so they wanted to finish the construction on the 100th anniversary of his passing. Now, yes, they did put the top of the largest spire on, and so they can say, okay, it's complete, but is it ever really complete? TBD.
And for those who don't know, that is like the biggest is it a cathedral or what exactly is?
I mean, they say it's a basilica.
It is monstrously big. It takes up a block.
Yeah, and it just got, I think the word is consecrated by the Pope.
Blessed.
Yep. Yeah, to like make it official.
Right.
But then besides that, I mean, there's tons of cool stuff to see. There's a Bucaria market, which is one of like the largest open air markets for like food and drinks. So I always recommend that. There's Park Güell, which is a beautiful outdoor park, also done under Anthony Gaudi's vision. And then, you know, in the evening, I would always recommend a sunset booze cruise. So they got boats that go out onto the sea. It's like 90 minutes. There's typically a live musician, keyboardist, guitarist. You go out, have a couple mojitos out on the water, watch the sunset, and then come back in time just to go to dinner around 9 o'clock, something like that. So,
yes. Yeah. For those wondering, Zach and I did indeed partake in a booze cruise while I was there. But
now, Zach, when I was there, he sent me to a nude beach.
Of course he did.
Well, you got to know the audience.
Beach lifestyles.
Yeah,
Each guest is different.
He never sent me to a nude beach. Go
Beach
figure.
lifestyle's a little different there. You see things there that that people would be arrested in America,
and should be, quite frankly.
and should be. But it's a little different. But that's fine.
Well, and I think going back to the culture shock question, that maybe would have been a big culture shock as well. Because again, like I said, I live 5 minutes from the beach, and the reason why I sent you to the nude beach is that was the beach close to where I live.
Yeah, you've got to know what he experienced.
And so, you know, my first day, you know, I just kind of like moved in, and it's like, all right, yeah, you know, let's go to the beach. I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
And I go down to the beach with my cooler and a couple beers, and I said, wow, I am overdressed for this. Yeah, for this beach. But you know, over time, it starts to become normalized.
Yeah.
You know, you're just used to seeing whatever is going out there.
I mean, you don't have to be nude, right?
No,
not a prereq.
I still wear the trousers, but a lot of people don't. But that's fine. I think it's
nice to have that option.
Yeah.
Clothing optional, but
well, and
in my case, certainly suggested.
What I noticed is like, you know, it's like, all right, I want to change into street clothes now. You can just do that right where you're sitting. Like, you don't have to go find the bathroom.
Convenience.
Yeah.
Now, working in Spain, if we talk about work again for a minute, you're dealing with a lot of different time zones.
Yeah.
From Silicon Valley to Asia. So how do you manage a work day that literally kind of follows the sun around the globe?
Well, it became a lot easier to manage once I moved to Europe, because I feel like Europe's the center of the world. I got Asia a few hours ahead. I've got the U.S. and South America a few hours behind. Because when I was in Fort Collins, oftentimes my days would start with a 6 a.m. call talking about some of the most complicated subject matter that my brain could handle at that point. It's like I'm just opening my eyes, just, you know, got a cup of coffee, and then trying to handle these conversations with people in India or China or, you know, whoever I was talking to. It was tough. And then by, you know, 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, that was mountain time, so that was already, you know, 5 or 6 Eastern, it started to kind of slow down a little bit. So my day was front loaded, like very heavy topics from 6 a.m. till 11, and then, you know, kind of from 12 to 3, it started to taper off a little bit. Whereas now, living in Barcelona, a lot of my days don't start until 8:30 or 9 in the morning, which is much more palatable, especially talking about some of these topics that we are. And I work until, you know, it depends, like normally 6 or 6:30. So to me, my day feels more balanced and not just like cram everything from 6 a.m. till noon and then, you know, taper off in the afternoon. So it's a pretty packed day, but as you said, I start my day with people in Asia, and then I work towards Middle East, Europe, and Africa, and then I end my day with people in North America and Latin America. So being in kind of the center of the universe, so to speak, it makes it easier to coordinate with all of those people.
Can't believe you said that Europe's the center of the world. Everybody knows that it's America.
Everybody knows it's Mansfield, the heart of it all.
Right.
Now, obviously, what's benefited you all these years is growing up and with a father who's reasonable, loving, caring, and very accepting of things. So explain how that
how great I am as a dad.
Explain how that has set you up for
kicking him under the table.
For he can't reach me, his legs are short. For the success you've achieved, and please feel free to elaborate.
I mean, I don't know much to say here. I was not expecting this question.
That's why I threw it in. That's why I'm a great interviewer. I ask the questions people don't expect.
I mean, I guess if there's one thing that
if you'd like to say nice things about your mother, that's okay too.
Well, I'll attribute this to the both of you, but I wouldn't say global scale and supply chain and business and all of that. I don't think I inherited any of that from you guys.
No.
But I think just in general, and even growing up through school, working hard because no one's going to do it for you. So if there's something you want, go out and get it yourself. So I would just say work ethic, but anything that my job is related to, technical wise, business wise, global wise, I'm not sure I've attributed or like inherited any of that from you. Okay. But working hard, that's
that's what Matt.
Because I don't know anything about any of that. I will say this: when Zach was going to move to Spain, I got nervous at first because I thought, well, he's going to starve. Because you got to keep in mind, when this kid was little, he was like 4 or 5 years old. We were at Chuck E. Cheese one night. And
rest in peace.
Yeah, great.
And all the kids were off playing, doing the things, playing whack-a-mole and riding a little, not a roller coaster, like a fair, the thing that goes around. And the pizza came. It was time to eat. And Zach did not want to stop playing. He insisted that he'd eat when he was good, damn ready to eat. So we forced him, or Dad forced him, to come over and sit down. Yeah. And the first thing he announced for the first time in his life is he hates cheese. Because there's cheese on the pizza. He doesn't want to have to eat it. To this day, Zach has never willingly eaten cheese, except maybe on some pizzas these days.
Just pizza.
Yeah. And I thought, well, you know what? A kid won't eat cheese. How's he going to survive in a world of like the stuff what do you eat most in Barcelona? Because it scares me, quite frankly.
Well, I mean, it just depends. So I think the seafood in Barcelona is great. Paella, jamón, which is like some of the best ham in the world for people that.
What's in a paella? Just for the folks who don't know.
It's normally rice and mixed sorts of seafood: clams, mussels, shrimps. You can get a crab. One of my favorites is a duck paella.
Duck.
Yeah, it just depends. And like char grilled octopus is also a popular item that I like to get.
You wouldn't eat cheese and you're eating char grilled octopus.
Yeah, I mean, I would say my palate has expanded since moving there, but there's a lot of good food, and quite honestly, the Mediterranean diet, at least in Spain, one of the things I also noticed that's different is when I go to restaurants, I don't have to order something and say no cheese, because naturally it doesn't come with cheese on it. Oh. You go to any restaurant in the U.S., 99% of the time I say, can I get this without cheese? Without cheese. So Americans put cheese on everything. In Spain, we don't really put cheese on stuff. Like, yes, there are cheeseburgers. You can get things like that. But like if you're eating seafood and rice and vegetables and jamón, like you don't need cheese on that stuff.
Is there a lot of gluten in Spain?
Says the guy who's gluten-free, by the way, Zach.
Yeah, well, there are definitely gluten-free bakeries and gluten-free options like pastries and like a lot of those breads and stuff, because in general the panaderia or like a bakery culture is very popular. Like you want to have good fresh baked bread every day. You want to have croissants. You want to have nice breads. And so I would say, yes, there probably is a lot of gluten, but there's also a lot of gluten-free bakeries as well. Because I had a friend that visited and she was gluten-free and she's like, man, we got to check out this bakery. And so we went the first day, and then every other day she was there. So I was like, can we go back? So yeah, of course. So
now we were talking about daily life in Spain, and we were talking about it, but what is the one or two things that Americans, like your old man, get completely wrong about kind of just living in Spain, or we have a lot of misconceptions about?
That's a good question.
Again, that's why I get paid the big money.
Yeah. I think at least a misconception in my eyes is everyone, when they think of Spain, they think of everyone just taking siestas and going to the beach and just relaxing, and every day is a vacation.
That's because that's what you tell us. So.
No, it's really not the case, especially working for an American company. I will say people that are doing like construction work or agriculture work outside, they often do take a break between 2 to 6 because it's super hot out. They don't want to be out there. So they do kind of take a siesta, and then they'll come back out later in the evening from 6 to 9 or 6 to 10, whatever it is. And there are a lot of restaurants and businesses that do close at 2 o'clock after lunch is done, and then they open again at 8 o'clock just to again kind of give their workers a break. So that does happen, but it's not just everyone just napping waiting for something to happen. There's a lot of hardworking people for sure. And then working for an American company inside all day in an office, no one's saying, yeah, Zach, just go ahead and take a nap, come back in 4 hours.
You can leave the country, but you're still an American company. Yeah,
that doesn't work. And I guess another misconception, I don't know. I would have to think about that because my Spanish teacher and I were talking about it the other day, and she mentioned something that I hadn't thought of. And it's escaping me now, so I might have to come back to that one.
We'll compare. Talk about a couple of things like I know we were talking when you were over there, like healthcare.
Yeah,
like it's like a totally different system. Talk about that, and then like just the cost of goods and services.
Yeah. So healthcare is a good point. So I got to experience it within my first 6 months of living there. So I was out in the French Alps and I got into a snowboarding accident and I broke my shoulder. And I had
his
never,
right shoulder, and he's right-handed.
Oh.
Yeah, and I had never broken a bone before, and I was still 6 months out there. I didn't really have a lot of friends, obviously no family that could help me, and I had 2 dogs, and my shoulder, was like basically locked to my chest, couldn't move it for like 3 months, and I needed to work on a computer and also take care of my dogs. But anyway, went to the hospital as soon as I got back from France into Barcelona, and got some x-rays, got an MRI, multiple doctor visits, and they concluded that, hey, the way that the bone broke, I don't think we should need to do surgery. It should eventually just be able to grow back together, which was great news for me. But they said you need to do 10 weeks of physical therapy 3 times a week, so like 30 sessions. And I was like, oh boy. So did all the physical therapy, the x-rays, the MRIs, and I was expecting like, okay, how much is this going to cost? I didn't get invoiced for any of it. There was no bill. It was just I had a broken bone. I needed to walk in. I didn't wait months for an appointment. Like literally I got back, they got me in, they did what they needed to do, and it was very fast, easy, and I didn't pay anything.
Wow.
And so in Spain, there's your public health care and your private health care. And I'm fortunate, so I have the public health care that, everyone gets access to that. But then there's also a set of doctors that are exclusive to private. And my employer, fortunately, pays for my premiums for the private health care as well. So I don't pay for medical insurance. The company pays for that. But I have access to public and private doctors. And in case something goes down, I can go in and get taken care of, and I'm not going to have to pay a bill for it.
That's amazing. And
yeah.
So you don't pay medical bills. You live in a city where you can rely on public transit, so
Correct.
No car insurance.
Correct. So
no car payment.
No car payment,
so you have
no
money.
gas.
What do you do with this leftover money?
He sends it home in an
We're living in
envelope.
2060 in Spain.
Yeah, and I mean, and in general, the cost of living is very affordable. I mean, it's gotten more expensive in Barcelona over the years, and I think people that have lived there for a long time, they would say, "Wow, Barcelona's super expensive." Right. But coming, at least from the U.S., this is like the biggest apartment I've ever had, and it's 5 minutes from the beach, and it's in a major city. And it's one of the cheapest rents I've ever paid since I was in college. I mean, it's cheaper than when I was living in Fort Collins, and I had a smaller apartment there. And so you couple that with, like you were saying, no medical insurance, no car insurance, no gas, basically a lot of extra stuff, plus everything else is just cheaper. Now, granted, my salary is a Spanish salary. I'm not making what I was making in the U.S. because it wouldn't make sense.
That,
yeah. But yeah, with extra money, do a lot of traveling. I just got back from a 2.5-week stint in the Philippines. I've explored a lot of Europe, Portugal, Belgium, Amsterdam, Morocco, London, Dublin. I mean, just basically wherever I can go. A lot of snowboard trips, and yeah, and then obviously going out with friends. I like to do that a lot, tapas and drinks, and then saving some money too. So yeah, all in all, it's good.
It's been a good run, Carl. I am going back with your son.
Now, you've gone from being a drummer in the Lexington High School Marching Band of Gold. Had a garage band way back in the day. I think it was called Dodging Susan. It was one of the great garage bands that played together, at least that I heard at the time. Maybe the only one heard at the time. But now you've recently, and I think you mentioned it earlier, you have joined a band in Barcelona. What's that been like? And you're not playing with 14 and 15-year-olds anymore.
No, it's a little bit different now. We can go to the practice room and crack open a couple beers, and no one's going to say anything.
I think you were doing that when you were in high school, but that's a whole other story.
But yeah, it's cool. It's a pretty diverse group of musicians. Our guitarist is from Venezuela. We got 2 guys from the UK, and then me from the US. We just recently had a show out in Sitges, which is like 30 minutes from Barcelona. We played at a brewery out there. It was for their summer festival. That was fun, but it's good getting back into something that I enjoyed, growing up and playing music. It's a way to kind of have a creative outlet. So that has been a lot of fun, and looking forward to playing some more shows with them coming up later this fall. We're going to try to get some things booked around Halloween and have a Halloween party at some bar in Barcelona. And then in addition to that, I've been picking up paddle, which for those of you guys that don't know paddle, it's like a mix of racquetball, squash, and tennis. And people try to compare it to pickleball, but it's not really pickleball because you can play off the wall. It's a different paddle. It's a different ball. Yes, it's a smaller court. Yes, there's a net. But I used to play tennis as well in high school, so getting back to another racket sport and getting back to music, it's some of those things I enjoyed growing up. So it's good to kind of get back in the groove again and do some of those things that bring me joy. So.
All right. When you finally do decide to visit home, which apparently is going to be every 2 years or so, what's the one or two American conveniences or things that you might miss the most while you've been gone? Other than being able to drive a Honda to the office this morning through all of the road construction in downtown Mansfield.
Conveniences. I don't know. Everything's so far away here, and you have to have a car to do everything, and so like it's not very convenient.
But let's face it. You want to go back to Kroger on Lexington Avenue, where your work career began as a cart fetcher. I think you started out as. I mean, let's do this. Compare Kroger to the markets that you shop in Barcelona. Grocery shopping.
I think maybe 2 aisles in Kroger is the size of our entire grocery store. Because you have an aisle at the Kroger, like the chip aisle. You got 100 different kinds of chips. You got this flavor, Lay's, Ruffles, Fritos, Tostitos. I mean, it's
so many condiments.
Exactly. So many choices. And it's like, where do I even begin? And you go into the Mercadona or, a Spanish supermarket, and it's like, okay, the chips, you have, 5 choices. You can pick one of these. Your condiments, it's ketchup, mayonnaise, mustard, barbecue sauce. Like, that's what you have. And to me, less choices is easier, and I'm in and out of the supermarket in 25 minutes. You go into the Kroger, and I remember you could just walk around that place, and they're selling furniture and used cars and jewelry store, and it's like, I'm like, dude, I don't even know where to begin here. This is overwhelming. And I don't know if this is a convenience, because your question was about, okay, well, maybe what conveniences do I miss? I think what I miss the most is...
Other than me and your mother. I mean, that's a...
Well, and maybe I shouldn't say what I miss the most, but something that I constantly need to have when it's coming back from the U.S. is buffalo sauce and spicy food. So Western Europe doesn't really like spicy things. They don't like buffalo sauce.
This food is a little bland on the bland side.
Yeah. And so that's one thing when I come back to the U.S., it's like, ooh, banana peppers on pizza, ooh, buffalo wings. And so to me, that's just oh, that's so good. But I wouldn't say that's a convenience, I guess. But it's just something that I miss. Yeah.
All right. I do have to get you out. You do have a dental appointment.
Look at you being a dad.
And your mother has told me that if you're late, it's my tookus. So we're going to get you out on time.
As long as it's yours and not mine.
Yeah, right. He don't care. He'll stay all day.
Now that I know you have a hard time finding your way around the metropolitan area, I want to make sure we get you out on time. But I'll leave it to you. Final word, Zach Hunnell, about coming back and participating on the Snooze Man Weekly.
Well, it's been a pleasure hanging out with you guys, and again, thanks for letting me join. I think this one, when it comes out, I'll actually listen to it and be awake, because it'll be coming out when I'm actually here.
Listen to it on your commute.
Yeah. So, all in all, I always enjoy my time back stateside, but I think anyone out there who is on the fence about maybe traveling to a different country or experiencing a different culture, highly recommend it. I think it kind of expands your horizon, your perspectives, lets you see how other people live. So whether that's Mexico, Canada, Europe, Asia, wherever, I'm not going to advocate for Spain, although I think most people would really enjoy it there. But yeah, don't be afraid to go see what the rest of the world may be doing and how they're living. So.
Well, very good. Folks, we're going to wrap up today's show on that note. Many thanks to Zachary Hunnell for coming all the way from Spain just to appear on today's show. For now, thanks again to all of you for listening to the Newsman Weekly. I'll be back in a second to put a bow on this week's show, but until then, please remember what author Mark Twain once said. If you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything.